21 million barrels of crude oil pass through a stretch of water less than 33 kilometers wide every single day. This corridor handles 25% of the world's seaborne energy trade. For any nation capable of blocking it, that volume of trade becomes a lever used to threaten the financial stability of every oil-importing country on Earth. The Strait of Hormuz functions as a deterrent. By commanding this single choke point, Tehran exerts a level of strategic pressure typically associated with the possession of nuclear weapons. For decades, the intelligence flowing into the Pentagon focused on a single quantified fear: Iran's acquisition of a traditional nuclear warhead. Precise analytical planning revolved around 440 kilograms of uranium enriched to 60. The concern in Washington was that a nuclear-capable Iran would rewrite regional power dynamics, forcing neighbors like Saudi Arabia or Egypt into their own enrichment programs and weakening Western ties to Asian trade hubs. When the United States eventually moved toward open conflict, they discovered a flaw in that multi-decade focus. Striking back at the global economy didn't require a long-range missile or a completed warhead. The search for a radioactive threat had obscured a more immediate reality. Iran's most potent deterrent was already in place, requiring no technological breakthrough to deploy. This map shows the Persian Gulf's maritime reality. Every drop of exported oil must funnel through this single exit to the Indian Ocean. At its narrowest, the shipping lane passes within sight of Iran's fortified Karg and Qashm Islands. To close the channel, Tehran simply issued warnings to transit vessels and fired on a handful of ships. They used minimal force to prove that the passage was no longer safe. Market reaction was instantaneous. As insurance providers spiked premiums to cover the risk of war, shipping transit numbers plummeted. Within hours, the world's most critical energy artery had essentially stopped pulsing. By disrupting these maritime logistics, Iran achieved a level of strategic paralysis that typically requires a full-scale military invasion. The shock hit global energy markets immediately, driving the price of Brent crude past $110 a barrel. As tankers stopped arriving, crude oil backed up at port terminals. Production facilities, lacking storage space for the surplus, were forced to slow or stop their operations entirely. The impact was most acute in energy-dependent nations like Pakistan and Sri Lanka, where fuel rationing began almost immediately. On a global scale, the Federal Reserve estimated that even a quarterly closure of the strait could lower the global GDP growth rate by nearly 3%, with total losses potentially reaching $2 trillion. The disruption reached into domestic politics in the West. In the United States, rising fuel costs caused the president's approval ratings to drop sharply ahead of the November midterm elections. Public demands for Iran to reopen the waterway went ignored. With the strait closed, diplomatic pressure had little effect on a nation that now held the leverage over energy prices. This demonstrated that command of this single channel provides leverage reaching into the internal politics and financial stability of the world's most powerful nations. Negotiators are currently meeting in Pakistan to discuss a second round of talks, as the world waits to see if the current ceasefire will hold. Regardless of the outcome of these talks, the strategic landscape has changed. Iran has proven that the geography of the Hormuz is its most effective tool for international negotiation. Tehran is now demanding sovereign authority over the passage, explicitly rejecting the United Nations maritime statutes that classify these waters as open for international transit. Part of this new demand involves a proposed toll system where a single ship could be charged up to $2 million just to pass through the strait. The crisis revealed that even the world's most advanced naval forces are vulnerable to the physical constraints of this narrow waterway. With the strategic importance of this channel now fully exposed, the question remains: is the world's energy supply being held hostage by Iran?